Rick Ross and Meek Mill aren't exactly on the best terms. That being said, Meek's never been a stranger to beef. He's gotten into it with Drake, 6ix9ine, 50 Cent, and tons of other big-name rappers. Unfortunately, this time, the beef is with his mentor and the head of the label that boosted Meek into superstardom, Rick Ross. The reason this whole thing is happening is a tale as old as time. It's been going on since Ice Cube went solo after not getting his cash from Eazy-E. See, Meek claims he's not getting his money. According to him, he feels like Rick Ross still owes him a bag he hasn't seen a single bit of in a long time. Meek made tons of statements on how the labels weren't paying him. Now, technically, he's on Atlantic, Maybach, and he's managed by Roc Nation. So at first, it seemed like he could be talking about any one of these companies, or maybe all of them. Some of his statements also pointed out how exactly the label system works and why he feels he's getting screwed over. He said, "Ask the record label, how much have you spent on me as an artist? Then you ask how much have you made off of me as an artist. I'm about to make my record deal public by Monday, just to let the world see what these people own. I haven't get paid for music and I don't know how much money labels make off me. I need lawyers ASAP." The issue here is that whatever Meek has problems with is probably already accounted for in a contract somewhere, so there might not be much he can do. This whole thing could definitely have started a rift between some of the bigger people at Maybach if Meek feels like he isn't being treated right. He did also end up beefing with Wale back in the day, so even if they resolved it, there might be some hard feelings lingering. Wale and Meek were label mates, and they were both mentored by Rick Ross around the same time. Back in 2014, Meek called Wale out for not supporting his new album as much as Meek would have liked. He posted a few rants on Twitter saying, "Wale just ain't gonna tweet a thing about my album. He's been hating on me a long time now. Don't even text me, cornball. Hashtag you not MMG." That beef eventually got resolved, but only with Rick Ross stepping in to shut it down and make peace. It's gonna be real hard for Rick Ross to do that again in his situation, especially if he's the one Meek is beefing with. Rick Ross spoke on the whole thing, and according to him,
"I'ma be honest, when Meek taking a jab at anybody, the only way I can assume is he doing that at Atlantic Records. All we ever did was get paper, and it's real easy to say a nigga name. I know what it is. When me and Meek always got money. He a boss now. We done been down 10 years. Is he signing Maybach Music? Yes, he is. But he's also a boss, and real bosses give other bosses opportunity to be bigger bosses. And if I'm only gonna get 7 billion and you get 20, God, it's great. That's all it is. Is it any pressure? It ain't no pressure. And always remember, it's real easy to make it clear when it's pressure.
In general though, Rick Ross hasn't responded to Meek in any real big way. Instead, he'd rather just sit back and let the whole thing work itself out. According to Ross, he's the boss, and he doesn't have to speak up. He's just gonna wait until everything blows over. Hopefully by then, Meek will have clarified more on what's going on. With all of that to say though, this doesn't really solve anything. Rick Ross feels good about everything, but that doesn't mean that Meek does. In fact, Rick has had to give Meek space in the past. He said, "Y'all be down with the team long enough. We all know how to move forward and get money. Now let's do it," he said. And once again, you're an individual with a lot of position. Cash that in, man. I didn't take it personally at all. I personally felt that's the homie shaking the tree trying to renegotiate with Atlantic. Cause me signing Meek, I brought Meek to the city before the homie. He was a youngster. When he came to get money, I always made sure he was in the best situation. That's great and all. We already know that Ross has done a lot for Meek and considers him a homie. But at the same time, when you start messing with another man's money, things get complicated. That kind of thing can absolutely end friendships, and we've seen it happen before. Maybe Rick's strategy of sitting back and letting things unravel how they do is only gonna make things worse though. From everything Meek's had to say, there's a lot we can pick up. While we might not be going broke exactly, it sounds like he could definitely be finding himself in some major debt for some of the money he's been losing to the company. Obviously, Meek Mill isn't as big of a name as he used to be back in the day, and maybe his lifestyle is starting to catch up with him. This explanation that NORE gave about the way this whole thing works will probably help us out here.
When you sign to a major label, that money that they give you, let's say they give you 800 grand, right? That's a loan. You have to pay back that loan with interest. So if you don't make back that 800 grand, what they do is they put you in the red, but you can still be hot and you didn't make back that 800 grand. So you can still be hot. So they'll give you another album and they'll give you, instead of 800 grand, they'll give you 1.2 this time, right? So now, but you're still in the hole for that 800. You understand? But now you got another 1.2. And if you don't make that, then you're just in the red for both. And this is a loan with interest that you don't get nothing out of. hip hop is not meant for the artist to win. It's never been meant for the artist to win. And the more and more you learn, the more and more you read your contracts, the more and more it's disturbing.
Seems like what Meek needs to do is get a hold of his masters and start an imprint or his own label or something like that. Once rappers hit it big, there's a reason they do that often. There's no one skimming off the top of your profits, there's no one messing with your vision creatively, and most importantly to Meek, your friends aren't messing with your money. That being said, getting a hold of a masters is super expensive, pretty difficult to do. The reason for that is that this is where the money is made. The internet has had to say about this whole beef. One user called Meek out for not being upfront about who the tweets were intended for, saying, "They asked Rick Ross how he feel about Meek Mill subbing him. He said it ain't nothing to say a name, basically at him next time." We can't even be mad at that because, honestly, yeah, Meek should have been clear about what's up. They say the whole world, and Ross, wouldn't be caught up thinking about what this whole mess is about. Another user said, "Instead of beefing with your dog, you should just give him some distance." That's pretty much what Ross has done in the past, but that might not always be the way to handle things. Honestly, a lot of the time, it's way better to go to someone directly with your problems rather than just sitting around waiting. That way, there's no time for people to stew on old problems and get angrier and angrier. That's how you get grudges, especially when Meek and Ross have known each other for so long. This ain't the way to deal with it. Another fan of Ross on Twitter said, "That's real love right there, and a boss statement. I want to see you shine regardless of what happens." Completely what Ross said is totally chill. That video interview makes a lot of sense from the perspective Ross has, but whether or not that's actually what's up is a whole different question. The whole thing relies on the idea that Ross is being truthful about what's up and that Meek wasn't talking about him, but we don't know that. So there's literally no way to know if this is gonna blow up or not. Most of the people on the internet have come out saying that they trust Rick Ross on this one, but at the same time, you can't just go ahead and assume someone's being truthful because you like them. It doesn't really work out like that. In all reality, it could be that Rick is just hustling, making money off Meek, and Meek is being too nice to call out his mentor. I mean, like, there's no way that Rick would have gone so hard for Meek in the past if he didn't think that it was gonna make money off him. It's sad, but true. And if you think this whole situation is crazy, wait till you watch this next video.